Hello YouTube, my name is Chris Powell. I'm a junior at CSU-Pueblo, and today we're going to be talking about the characteristics of the trombone. Your two most basic trombones in the trombone family will be your tenor trombone and your bass trombone. Rarely you'll find music for an alto trombone, which is pitched in E flat. Your tenor and your bass trombone are pitched in concert B flat. Your beginner range for your tenor trombone will be B flat 2 to F4, maybe. Practical range for the tenor trombone is E2 to F5, and professionally it goes from E2 on up to I don't even know what. Bass trombone, your beginner range is going to be around B flat 1 to B flat 3. Your practical range for your bass trombone is B flat 1 to B flat 4, and this is not including your pedal register for the tenor or the bass trombone. For the alto trombone, your practical range is going to be A2 to G5, and there really isn't a beginner range for your alto trombone because you're not going to be playing the alto trombone as a beginner. It just doesn't happen that way. Most beginning players will start out on the tenor trombone, which may or may not have a valve. This one I have here has an F attachment valve, as you can see, but most tenor trombones, student models, will not have a valve. So in terms of timbre, weaknesses will be thin sound when playing up high, and airspeed, and articulation. Your airspeed is going to most definitely affect the sound that comes out of your horn, and depending on high or low range, your sound may be weak, thin, and or nasally, and that's something that could be from airspeed, could be from not having the correct embouchure, but most of your timbral weaknesses are going to be coming from thin sound up in the high range, from B flat to up on basically through the middle of the staff in bass clef is going to be basically middle to practical beginner range. In high school, timbre weaknesses will still be on your high range. Thin sound is going to be your lead trombone player's weakness, just because playing higher up will require tightening up the muscles and creating a smaller embouchure to blow through. At the college level, basically on any pitch within the practical range, any timbre should at this point be accessible. Loud or soft, growling, flutter tonguing, any type of timbre should be accessible at this level. In terms of performance demands, at the beginning level, fast notes and 16th note runs are not going to be accessible to new players. This is simply because new players are going to be moving their arm very slow, and which also makes the trombone completely unique as opposed to other brass instruments, is that in order to change partial to move up and down stepwise, you don't move valves, and it's not instantaneous sound like when you push a valve on a trumpet or a French horn. It takes time to move the slide from first position to sixth position, and that's going to be one thing that hinders your beginning player articulations. In terms of technical capabilities, once again, tonguing is going to be everybody's main issue at the beginning level. Articulations will sometimes be really heavy Advanced techniques such as double tonguing and triple tonguing are not going to be accessible to beginning players, even up to high school players will not be accessible. Dynamically, as students play more, they'll find it easier to play louder. And playing loud is something that the trombone does extremely well because it kind of lies in the middle in terms of air pressure and airspeed and airflow. I like to consider it the Goldilocks of brass dynamics because it basically lies almost in the middle at the perfect what am I looking for? The perfect pressure, moderate to average airspeed and pressure to create notes on the trombone. Your trumpet is going to take a smaller embouchure. You're going to have to be blowing through a much smaller hole, and it's going to be more difficult to get faster, louder air through a smaller hole. Likewise with a tuba, who will be buzzing through a huge open space, and air is going to be their biggest enemy. So they'll be breathing a lot. The trombone players lie kind of right in the middle, and so with that moderate to average airspeed, only moderate to average airspeed required to play basic notes, playing loudly only takes just 10 to 15% more emphasis on your airspeed, and you'll jump maybe 1 or 2 whole dynamic levels. Playing blastissimo is something that some trombone players will probably have difficulty reining in as they get into the high school, college level. Playing loud is something that may have to be tamed, may or may not have to be tamed. In terms of solo literature as compared to ensemble literature, your ensemble literature is going to be based more in half notes and quarter notes and being part of the chord, and as opposed to not really playing the melody much in your ensembles. So this makes your ensemble music a little bit more tame than your solo music, but makes sense practically. The trombone is set at a range where if it were to have the melody, it probably would get drowned out when going up against an entire orchestra full of French horns and flutes, piccolos, clarinets, trumpets. So your trombone in your ensemble creates more of a supportive role, not really getting the melody much. And so things will be a bit more basic in terms of technical accessibility. In solo literature, basically it's no holds barred. You'll see anything from a trill to a glissando, which is what makes the trombone completely unique from other brass instruments, is the slide, which is probably the most well-known special effect that the trombone can produce, is the gliss with the slide. I can play a note, and without changing partial or moving my embouchure, changing pressure at all in my lips, I can make some comical sounds with my trombone, and I'll demonstrate. So as you can see, just moving the slide and not changing my pressure at all allows me to gliss. And notated, a gliss will look basically like a squiggly line from one note to the next. Sometimes it won't even be a squiggly line. It'll just say gliss with a dot, which is short for glissando. Or it could say something like smear or scoop, depending on the context, if it's a jazz song or an ensemble piece. Excuse me. And that's it for the video. And that's all I got. Thanks for watching.